Happy full moon in Virgo, beautiful sister. Welcome to your feminine archetype moon report. We arrive at Virgo, who is the healer, sometimes known also as the earth priestess. And as we arrive to her, I invite us to start with the great goddess Nu Kwa. Nu Kwa lived in the northern provinces of ancient China. She lived at a time when there was absolute chaos on the planet. The sky was down, the earth was up, the waters weren't flowing, nothing was jiving, nothing was vibing. How often do you feel like that in your own life? Like chaos is reigning? So, of course, Nu Kwa, being the badass woman she is, she started to move into boss babe mode. She started to move into masculine mode and just started to I gotta try to get pull the star from the floor and push it up, and then I gotta hold up the mountains, and then I gotta go stir up the lake so that it stops being so gnarly with moss and it can breathe life. So anyways, she's taken up by the chaos. She moves into masculine mode. She moves into doing mode. She moves into fixer mode, savior mode, martyr mode. And guess what happens? Dun, dun, dun. More chaos reigns. Not only does more chaos reign externally, but internally, of course, her nervous system got dysregulated. She got caught up in the stress, and it was like, you're never going to fix all these things, right? So one day she just, out of pure exhaustion, she just dropped, sat on the ground, and started to notice her breath. And you can do that with me in this moment, noticing the flow of your inhale into your body, and that long, sacred, slow release, letting go of the feminine, the inhale of the masculine, the inhale of the new moon, the inhale of the spring, and the exhale of the feminine, the exhale of winter, the exhale of the dark moon, the exhale of the moon blood. And as she was noticing this rhythmic, nurturing force like a drumbeat, calling her back to her center, she also noticed that same cycle of the breath was writ large on the moon cycle. And the moon was moving. She sat for many months and noticed the moon moved from new, it grew to full, and it dropped back down to new. And it just kept happening every single month. And she noticed her own body flowing with the moon, her emotions flowing with the moon, her blood flowing with the moon, her sex drive flowing with the moon. So she's here sitting, turning inward, finding her center amidst the flux, the cycles of nature, as her own body, and as our planet, and as the moon, which is a part of our planet. And through that process, what happened? All of a sudden, the stars on the earth started to float back up into the sky. The earth hovering in the atmosphere started to drop back down to the earth. The rivers started to flow. Life regained order. Nu Kwa is our perfect goddess intro into the energetics of Virgo full moon, because Virgo is that grounded earth sign who is the keeper of our tasks. She is a practical, reliable, grounded earth energy that analyzes, prioritizes, categorizes, processes information, and then puts it into action in our 3D reality. So in other words, she creates order out of chaos. This is most certainly the archetype of the doctor or acupuncturist, This is the archetype often known as the Earth Priestess. She who grounds the ethereal, grounds the chaos of universal connection into this moment in the body right now in a really practical way, in a very earthy way. So Nuqua also went on that journey of grounding, and through the grounding, order being created from chaos. However, it is the full moon, so of course I got my yin yang jacket on, baby. And that is because every full moon, we are not just looking at the sign, we are not just looking at Virgo, we are looking at the polarity. We are looking at the opposite sign as well as the sign of the full moon. So we're looking at the sign of the new moon and the full moon because what's happening is that the moon and the sun are in opposition. They are on opposite sides of the planet. They are in a tense aspect. That is what a full moon is. So every full moon, there is that tension of dynamic opposites. And these dynamic opposites are always the same. There's only six. There's only 6 pairs on this planet. And we have met the Virgo Pisces axis, also known as the health and service axis. So when we're talking about Virgo, we are talking about, let's start with the health axis. So she is that healer who has studied for years and has her apothecary on her wall with all the meticulous herbs meticulously labeled so that if you have a bladder infection, if you have a cold, if you have a broken heart, she knows exactly what to offer you. And that takes devotion, dedication, studying, time, energy, effort. It is a very grounded, earthy thing to do, right? Now, that is one style of healer. That is the hands-on healer. That is the healer who is like working in the nitty-gritty, in the day-to-day. And then Pisces is a completely different type of healer. Let's remember Pisces is always the mystic. And while Virgo is known as the Earth Priestess, like the priestess who's like on the ground, right? She like knows the medicine of the plants, the animals. She knows the medicine of the seasons and the cycle. She is living it. The High Priestess that lives in Pisces, absolutely, that is all a necessity as well in order to not be like completely ungrounded, which Pisces can do. But she is known as the High Priestess because she is working in the quantum realm. She is working in the spiritual realm in order to impact the physical realm. So we have these 2 different types of healers. Virgo, you know, think acupuncturist, herbalist, doctor. We have Pisces, think psychic, think energy healer, think, priestess out in the woods, like living in the woods, like doing the deep work of prayer to anchor the golden dawn. This is, and think spiritual practitioners, right? Who are doing like miracle healings in people's lives and healings in people's lives by providing a felt sense of the hope and the faith that is the foundation of a healthy nervous system, of a healthy body. So both healers, both important, both imperative. They seem like they're on they seem like opposites at first glance. Like Pisces is like the watery, like mystical, magical, like floating out in the ethers, it's like death, right? It's like it's the end of life. It's like the wisdom of the crone. And then Virgo's like hands on the ground, energy up, like let's make this happen. Like we're like getting into the nitty gritty here and we're going to like take action and put this chaos into order. And yet what the full moon is always teaching us is that these are not opposites. They're polarities. So they complement each other. They need each other. Men and women aren't opposites. We are polarities. We create a whole. We create a wholeness. We create the entire yin yang. We can't just have the black. We need the full spectrum wholeness. So Pisces and Virgo bring us back into the truth that healing the body in the realm of Virgo, earth element, always embodiment, right? Always like here and now. And healing the spirit or the soul, Pisces, water element, emotional element, right? They are the same. Actually, you can go from either direction and get to the same outcome. And they need each other. They are part of the holism of us as humans. So the health service axis of Pisces Virgo on the full moon, it invites us to remember holistic healing, holistic lifestyle. Holism means body, mind, and spirit are not separate. We can't say, if all we do is we just tend to the physical and we're like, I'm on my exercise, I'm on my nutrition, I'm like just getting shit done. And we forget our intuition, we forget our soul path, we forget our spirituality, we forget our relationships and the transcendent love that comes through them. We won't be well. That is not wellness. However, if we float in the ethers and we are always in our spiritual practice, we are always in the etheric realms, we're always contemplating the depth of our philosophical journey in this life, and we're not tending to the day-to-day mundane tasks of feeding our bodies healthy food, of being in connection with nature, of moving our bodies in a way that prevents us from feeling pain, then that's not wellness either. That's not holism either. I don't care how, many spirits you're communicating, how many dead people you're communicating with, how much you feel, connected to God. That transcendent model of just up and out, it's not gonna work in the 3D. We came to the 3D to do this crazy balance of yin and yang. This is what we're here for. So this polarity of the health service axis, I want to speak to a beloved sister, so beautiful, so powerful, of mine who has breast cancer and has been receiving treatment. And the other day, the most inspiring thing happened that was totally life-changing, world-changing for so many of us. And that was that at Ecstatic Dance in Costa Rica, some of you know who this is. It was a fundraiser for her treatment. She was held, loved, and supported at the end of that practice by a circle of, 50, 60 people, surrounded and just sung to and surrounded by healing hands and allowed to just sob and cry and release all the grief, and to be held up by the men in the center of the circle and all the beloveds gathering around, big group hug for minutes, and just a whole ritual healing, a whole grief healing. Mic drop, mic drop. So that's an example of holistic healing. She is pursuing her treatment in the physical, in the 3D, as she is inspired, as she is called by her intuition. She's a woman, a woman of deeply in tune with her feminine, right? So she looks within to see what physical 3D actions need to be taken in order to prolong and save her life. So practical Virgo. And then on the other hand, she is open to the mystery, and the mystery is bringing her deep energetic healing through community, deep quantum field rearrangement, readjustment. Even just hearing that story, I was not there live. I am so sorry I was not. But even just hearing that story was healing for me. And pretty sure it was healing for you too. And pretty sure it's healing for anyone who has seen the pictures, anyone who has seen the video, anyone who speaks this. Because this is the new way. This is the new earth. This is the feminine way. Is that we are marrying our health and well-being on the physical plane and valuing our body, right? The return of the feminine means we must value our body. We can't be disembodied and be honoring the feminine. And on the other hand, that we are understanding the body as spirit, the body as a direct, like an embodiment of God, goddess, that there isn't a duality between body and soul. There is a wholeness. They inform each other. They are each other when you really get down to it. Now, on the healing tip of Virgo Pisces, we want to give a shout out to Chiron, the wounded healer, the planet that harkens us back to the Greek myth of the centaur, Chiron, who was wounded mortally, but he was immortal. He was wounded mortally, and he was such an incredible healer, like gifted healer, studied healer, very Virgo healer energy, and yet he could not heal this wound until he looked at the wound and he chose to transform the wound into wisdom. Maybe he can't actually heal that wound. Maybe you were wounded in your childhood or at some point in your life that it's like, it's going to be a part of you. It's written on your soul. It's written on your skin. It's here. It's real. Like, we can't quantum leap it away, like, necessarily, right? We can't just like Abraham Hicks it away with our manifestation practice. We have to feel it to heal it. And that's what Chiron did. He was willing to go through the pain and still show up in service to others. And it turned out that his greatest pain ended up amplifying his powers as a healer times a million. And he ended up serving so many humans on this planet because through the shadow of his own pain and struggle and suffering, he alchemized and transformed that shadow in a way where it became the golden shadow. It became his greatest gift. That is the energy of the healer. The Virgo energy always reminds us, the healer energy always reminds us, the Pisces energy too, that true healing isn't about taking a supplement. True healing isn't about doing XYZ on a list, although all of those things may be important in that process. True healing is about going within and healing within. And through that process of healing within, whether it's emotional, physical, energetic, whatever, and watch my wording, whether it is, no, it always is. So that's the whole point of the Pisces Virgo axis. It always is emotional, physical, spiritual, energetic. It always is. It all is. So, like, what angle do you want to go in to heal your trauma, to heal your physical, what ails you? A multi-pronged approach is highly recommended, and where our intuition calls us in different ways, in different forms. Some of us are carrying more of that Virgo energy. I love working with my plants, right? Some of us are always going to turn to the psychological, always going to turn to meditation, always going to turn to prayer as you know, our primary medicine, right? May we bring all of this together through that, through the wisdom of the healer that is Virgo. Now, what's the second part of that health service axis that is Virgo Pisces? It is that service piece is the remembrance of our sacred activism. And this describes the relationship between the microcosm and the macrocosm. So in this case, as humans, let's just make it relevant to us. So we are the microcosm. Earth is the macrocosm. Earth then is the microcosm, and cosmos is the macrocosm. Humans can be the macrocosm. Our cells are a microcosm, right? Like, they're all of it's alive, like in one cell. So Virgo is the microcosm. Virgo's like, let's get down to the details. Pisces is the macrocosm. It's like, oh, the mystery. Oh, the mystery. The mystery is so vast. And it is infinitely, it will slip out of our hands always. It is eternally mystery. So when we come into balance within ourselves in that understanding of what is the relationship between micro and macro, so what is the relationship between the human body and our earth body? Of course, as women, we always want to harken back again and again to ecofeminism in the remembrance that what happens to Earth's body, the way we treat Earth's body, is the way women have been treated. Women are being treated. The way women's bodies are treated, have been treated, is the way Earth's body is treated, has been treated. So we see in the modern era of patriarchy, of course, we are degrading and raping the body of the earth. This is continuing. So when, as women, we come back into a remembrance of my body is sacred, my body is holy, my health is the most valuable wealth I can ever have. My integrity, my spiritual center is the biggest insurance I can ever have. This is sacred activism. So some of us want to be out on the streets with signs, signing petitions, and that's our role, right? And some of us are going to be more doing the inner work as the activism. We need both. We all need both. We all need to step up in both ways, of course, Pisces, Virgo. But when we come into relationship we come into understanding that the small system will impact the larger system. The way you treat your body is the way you treat the earth. The way you treat your body is the way the future will treat the earth. So this is how we empower ourselves to change the world. Yes, the problems of the world are freaking huge. Yes, it's discouraging. Yes, it's intense. Yes, it's like really overwhelming to look at the news for 5 minutes. And the greatest activism you can ever do is, what are your thoughts? How are the waters of your own emotional body polluted? And can you cleanse and purify through honoring, through witnessing? So the mantra for that would really be, by acting on a domestic scale, by acting on an embodiment scale, I am also acting on a universal scale. What I do with my body, how I take care of my health, how I respond to my daily life, how I act in my immediate environment is also how I act in the universe. And it has an effect beyond my ordinary life. It has an effect on the future. We are birthing the future through our daily actions. So let's note that the shadow of Virgo is the perfectionist. The shadow of Virgo is the fixer. The shadow of Virgo is even the martyr, who's like, well, if no one's going to clean the house, then I'm going to clean it again. And, we walk into our house and maybe we, instead of being like, oh my God, what a miracle, we walk in and we're like, oh, that pillow is out of place, right? So we can get very micromanagey with Virgo, which is, it's important if you're an acupuncturist that you put the needle in the right spot. It's important, the hundreds, thousands of spots that are going to be relevant to your particular patient. And Pisces really invites us into a bigger picture view of this whole healing. So let's make this bigger and take this into the planetary healing that we are all part of right now as priestesses. Really, Pisces invites us, I love this phrase, to take the view of an ancestor. To take the view of an ancestor. To take the 7-generation view and beyond. That although this life seems all-encompassing, and this moment on the planet seems all-encompassing, it is such a small speck. This one life of yours, this is just one little piece of the whole big picture. And this epoch in the planet, patriarchy, it's just it's like a dot on the history of the planet. And that doesn't make it less important. That doesn't make your sacred activist role less important. But Pisces brings Virgo into balance by reminding her that karmic cycles are much bigger than this life. That we are playing out whole swaths of stories, astrological stories that are thousands of years old. We are playing out, lifetime stories, soul stories that are maybe we can't even put time to them because time doesn't actually exist beyond the 3D, right? So Pisces brings us into balance, reminding us that although we might be suffering from a chronic disease, although we might be dealing with intense trauma, although we might be trying to figure out our purpose, our work, that we can really contextualize this by taking the view of an ancestor and cultivating a deep sense of trust. And it is that trust, that felt sense that I'm going to be okay. That sense of God, Goddess has my back. I am God, Goddess. That is the sense that deactivates the nervous system. And then the nervous system can move into balance. And when the nervous system's in balance, healing can occur. Healing cannot occur when we're in stress. So the beautiful, beautiful quote by Stephen Buhner, an epic herbalist who has now become an ancestor, is, you cannot be an effective healer if you view death as your enemy. So in terms of the nitty-gritty day-to-day healing that comes with the Virgo energy that is alive and awake within you, that this moon is bringing alive, we need to balance that with Pisces. Pisces is the death of the zodiac, right? It's like moving beyond the human life into the infinite cosmos. So when we view death as like part of the cycle, we view illness as part of the cycle, part of the yin and yang, we understand that our cycles of, ancestral trauma reenactment are actually the path out when we're willing to take a stand, when we're willing to work them. And that the shadows themselves aren't the enemy. The death itself is not the enemy. If we're fleeing death as a healer, we fall into that perfectionist mode and we fall into the very rationalistic kind of like masculine mode, right? But if we've got the bigger picture view of an ancestor, we can still honor and tend what needs to be tended, but we are seeing that we are all part of a bigger healing that is happening on this planet. Your life, this lifetime for you, is just part of a bigger healing that is happening for your soul. It is just one piece of that puzzle. Your life here on this planet is one piece of the puzzle of the larger healing for the entire planet. And us together as sisters, as priestesses, gathering in this sacred knowledge, remembering the ancient ways, we are one imperative piece of the sacred activism that is returning an ancient future to this moment. This remembrance of the balance of the yin and the yang, the balance of the masculine and feminine, the balance of Virgo and Pisces. To close it down, let's talk about the gifts of balancing the two. When both Virgo and Pisces are healthy, this axis brings our dreams, Pisces, into reality, into Virgo. When these two are in balance within us, which this full moon is inviting us into, always, that is what the full moon does. She is like, mama, get your healer and your mystic on board together because that's how you're going to be the most powerful. And when they are online together, we see the divine, Pisces, in all things, Virgo. When they are in alignment, when they are in balance, this polarity, it helps us to find a balance between our day-to-day routines and our big picture dreams, our big picture goals, our big picture visions. So blessings to you on this full moon. Virgo loves the earth. She loves to get her feet on the earth and ground, right? So I invite you to earth this full moon, even though it's like we're still in the spring showers for sure for most of us. Some of us are in snow, but can you get your feet, bare feet on the earth even for a minute? Get yourself into a mud bath. Do whatever you need to do to get the earth's resonance on your body. Go lie down outside. Go commune with a tree. Go take your hike. Go take your full moon hike every month. Because that transmission, that direct transmission, is the Pisces, right? And the Virgo is then how do we take that into our lives as women on the path, as the feminine awakening process of our day-to-day rituals, of showing up to our practices, of showing up to our womb, of showing up to our womb cave, of showing up to our heart, of showing up to feeling our emotions, of showing up to carving out time for our sensuality, for our inner child. Blessings, blessings, sister. May this yin-yang coat that I'm obsessed with, may it inspire you, or at least may the Virgo full moon inspire you to come into even greater balance between your inner mystic and your inner healer. Blessed be.